So just wear a smile, because sometimes while we're waiting, the camera is coming up and we don't know it. So be camera ready from this point.
Gotcha. And we'll do this as normal, and it'll be recorded for people to view in the future. Also,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I
It
got you
sure will.
covered.
So
Got,
I'm going to
got you
start off.
covered.
Okay, this is wonderful. I'm so glad that you've come, Dennis. Denise, and I'm so glad that you have such a good nature, and that you don't get, because it's easy to lose focus when everything is going wrong, and I'm glad that you haven't. So
I
welcome,
work somewhere where you got to keep focused. So, yes.
and we're going to talk about that too a little bit today. So this is welcome to Unart for Joy Community Circle, which is a support group for unart works. We're unapologetically not artists, and self-acknowledged creatives share, build, and heal by sharing their experiences and strategies for resiliency and growth. We understand that art is risky business, and to borrow from the words of the late Senator John Lewis, we believe that art is good trouble. And as I say, you must never ask anyone's permission to be who you are. So for some reason, everything looks frozen to me, but I'm going to continue on. So Denise, do you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay. And so I want you to tell us a little bit about your background. We know that you're a poet, you're a singer, you're just all around creative. But just tell us a little bit about yourself, as far as we all start from somewhere, right? We all
Right.
start from somewhere. So I know my story, but I want to know your story, as far as when you were a child, were you always creative? And how has that played in your development from childhood to maybe teen years and now as adult?
Right now, the earliest I can remember was when I was in junior high school,
Mhm.
and I was running for an office. I didn't think I had a good chance of winning, but I went for the gusto, and I said, I'm going to be creative and write a poem. Roses are red, violets are blue. Vote for Denise and be an eagle too, because
Right.
we
Poem.
were eagles.
Roses are red, violets are blue. Vote for Denise and be an eagle too.
Do you hear the echo?
Yeah, it's almost like it's a background. So we're just gonna wait for it to pass, because I don't know why it's doing that. I do. Yeah, it's almost like it's a background. So we're just gonna wait for it to pass. Okay,
Okay,
can
'cause
you
I
talk?
don't
Can
have
you hear
no
me now?
phone. Say what now?
Okay, let's continue on.
Go
So
ahead.
you tell us about your experience as in junior high school with running for an office.
Okay, I don't hear it now. But what happened was, as I got older, I don't remember any other writing in school as I was writing, but when I was in college, the other thing that stood out to me was that fact that when I wanted to enter a pageant, I didn't know of a talent that I had that would make me competitive. So I knew I played, but not that well to be competitive. Or I knew I didn't have dance lessons. I knew I sung, and I was like, mediocre. But I really wanted to win because I wanted to receive the crown from a sorority sister, and I wanted to represent my sorority well. So what I did was I said, let me try something, and let me do something original, and I'll be original if nothing else. And I ended up winning because people were amazed because it was an original skit.
Oh
And I
wow.
centered it around the theme, which was a Pan African um, week. And so I did a Black History skit for it. And I was surprised because I didn't think I would win. I didn't invite family. I didn't have a camera because back then you didn't have phones, not to give my age away. But I I won, and there I was with no family and no phone, and I was like, wow. And then the next day when I went on campus, I was at NC State, rah rah, and it's a large campus, so our classes are pretty big, and you're sort of like numbers. But all of a sudden, I was no longer a number. My professors were calling me out, and they said congratulations, and I was like, wow, this could change my life. But I didn't pursue it intensely then. I let other things that were more important to me because I had no one to say, hey, go for the gusto with this. So I ended up doing other stuff and ended up, working in my field. But over the years, I still had that itching for writing because I grew up shy and quiet, and writing filled that empty space for me. So
So
I
tell
write.
me, so you're talking about, how writing fill that empty space for you. But that's one of the things I can talk about too. But how, how would you, why do you think that's important for young people and, and really anybody can use their creativity because of, how spastic our relationships, our communities are now. We're not as close to communities as we used to be. So talk to me about that. How did that really kind of make you connect with maybe your peers, even with those that were older than you, maybe help you to find your place in your community?
How did my writing do that?
Mm-hmm.
Because writing has always been like breathing to me. It is everything I do. I never really advertised it a lot because in my life, the lifestyle I had, there was not really a lot of room made for it. And so I put it on the back burner, but it was always what I lived and dreamed. And when I tell people, they say, well, someone say, you become a different person when you start doing your raps or doing your poetry. And I said, I become the real me. Um, Growing up in the society that I was in, it wasn't accepted in the lifestyle I had, but it was my dream, and I always felt like that's what I was meant to do. One, because of the way I always talk, um, and two, because just the words that I would do and the way people would respond to them, I knew that was what I was supposed to be doing, and I wasn't. Uh, I guess the best explanation is someone asked me, why are you doing what you do instead of writing? And they don't understand when you have an art, it's not that easy because it's competitive and it's not really a money maker. But if you love it, that's what you do.
Can be though. It can be. We just
It
have to
can
find a
be.
way. They haven't taught us. They never taught us how to make our art work for us as far as making money, because they always want us to do something safe, right? You always got to have that plan B. Really,
Mhm.
that plan B becomes your plan A, and then what you really love to do is your plan B or your plan to the side, right?
That's
So,
right.
so how did you become brave enough to say, you have a career, and I understand you have a very important career we're going to talk about, but how do you decide, okay, it's time for me to step up
Because I
in
was
this
always doing
plan
it.
B or this plan to the side?
Yeah. Because I was always doing it. And one day I had a bad habit of if I didn't like a Bible, I mean, a verse of a song in the choir, I would change it and make it my own verse. And if there was no verse to the song, I would create one. So my uncle, who played the piano at the time, looked at me and said, "You got all this talent. Why are you just using it here at this church? Why don't you use it outside of it?" So I started thinking about ways that I should be using it to expand it. And that's what caused me to write my first book, My Words and Me, in 2003. And I made a website and I became serious about it because I would write little articles for the paper in high school. My English teacher took over and let me write articles weekly for our school and put them in our local newspaper called These Are the Times, and I would write little opinionated columns, and they were faithfully put in the newspaper. And one time when I was out of high school, I wrote something else, another editorial, and it got so much response of people calling me that I said, hey, maybe I have something here that I'm not utilizing. And I eventually started writing songs for groups and local musicians, but I didn't work with people that were able to travel and expand. And I, at the time, wasn't interested in that either. So even though we became a hit locally, it never expanded out of that area. But I knew there was a skill because the song locally was requested the most on the radio for the longest.
What was the
When
name of that song? Do you
huh?
remember?
When I woke up this morning, I said thank
Oh, when I woke up, that song. Oh my goodness, girl, that's
you.
wonderful. That is really wonderful. A
Because
lot
they
of
would
people sing that
perform it,
song. It's,
would perform it everywhere, and it was like I didn't even have to ask people to buy the CD; they were buying it. This was when the CDs were selling, so they everywhere they sung it, they would tell that I wrote it, and so I had like a 12 songs on that CD, and I had like two male groups and um, three females that sung on it. So
So
um,
you're already famous. We just didn't know who to put the face to. You were already famous.
locally, yeah, and
So
then that's
we
when
have to ask that question, who do you think you are? You know who you are, right?
I just didn't know how to expand out of the area without because you've got to do internet, and so that's where I'm learning to try to expand using the internet so people outside of the area will know me.
So is there any time when you had maybe someone made you question yourself? Where you actually maybe had asked in your inner voice, and then it said out loud, like, who do you think you are? Did that come about at any time? You see that you was very well supported, and that might not be your story, but it was any time anyone tried to make you doubt what you knew about what your talent was.
Nobody ever made me doubt what my talent was because I'm always known if there's anything that I do well, I'm an excellent writer. But what was frustrating was being a good writer is not what makes you sell. My biggest competition has been my love of poetry and not writing in other fields that are more popular, like storytelling, sci fi, and those are bigger sellers. And I've got a good friend who has her own publishing companies, and she hosts a lot of writers, and
Mhm.
mostly their writings are stories. So I would be setting up books with storytellers, and I would set up when this was when we were doing selling books like by hand, and I
Mhm.
would go and I would be the only poet there, but I never quit because I knew that was where my strength was, and that is where my money making would lie in my rhymes. I would look at greeting cards and Helen Steiner Rice. I don't know if a lot of people know her, but she is like the most influential writer to
She's
me
in a lot of those, yeah, the things
because
we buy. Her name is in a
I
lot of them.
grew up and I would look at her, the greeting cards, and every time I would see her name there, and I was like, this is what I should be doing. This is the type of poetry I need to be doing. And abstract it's rhyming poetry, and sometimes that's not the only poetry, but that was the one that I found my strength, just bringing people strength, those types of lines.
And
So
what I
that's
love about your work is that you really combining all those things, with the music, the poetry, and the storytelling. You really, what you're doing is something unique, I think, because you're not really separating them out as much as some people do, because people do tell you have to specialize, and that really drew me to you. I don't have an interest, not any interest. I don't have any talent, musical talent, but I do like to write, I like to write different kinds of things, including poetry. Poetry is really my first love, but I like to do all kinds of writing, and I'm also an artist. I want to combine those things. And so I'm working on a project for that. And so when I really ran across you and I saw what you were doing, I said, well, I'm not out here by myself, so that makes me think, well, hey, what I'm doing is valuable too, as well. So you're a really kind of just an inspiration to me, and I'm sure to many others, because you trailblazing without even knowing it, because just being who you are. And that's one of the main things I try to tout with on art, is that be who you are, and that is good enough. You don't have to be like anyone else. And whatever your gift is, your gift and our gifts might be into, like, what people call art. But to me, art is anything that makes things beautiful. You're a beautiful cook. You know how to make people, love food and feed people. You know how to care people. You know how to build community. All of that is a creativity of a different sort. So I think we all need to make sure that we honor our gifts, what our gifts are. And so I think you've done a great job of doing that. So your next step is doing what now?
my next step is to continue doing what I'm doing. um, i'm I'm building my network system, connecting with
Mm-hmm.
people such as yourself who are like-minded and are going places. I meet a lot of writers and they talk about their writing, but they don't really do much with it. I'm looking for people that are taking their writing to the next level also. I've got a lot of resources that I haven't utilized, and I'm going to start utilizing. One of the persons that helped me connect a lot is up here supporting me tonight, Miss Martha, and
Okay.
always pushing me to do this and meet this person and go that next step. So my biggest thing is getting on the internet more. That can make or break you. If you can advertise, especially with COVID, and get out and reach the people through the internet and get a following there, you can grow. But it's going to take some connections, and I'm also working with mentors um, that can help me to see things that maybe I'm not seeing that can help me to expand. I think a lot of times we want to do things on our own, but like you told me, watch someone who's where you are, and it's like stepping forward and going backwards. And after you know where you want to go, see what they're doing differently than you, so you can do what they're doing to get where they are. Because apparently you're good, if not better than they are. Because I often think that some of the greatest people, like Michael Jordan and LeBron and all them, there are some basketball players out there that that don't have a chance of having someone to nurture them and make them grow. So my thing is, in order to show people that you're great, you've got to have someone that can help you get there. Because a lot of times the most talented people are not the ones that are ever recognized. I've had people that give me poems that have blown me away and make me say, "Oh my gosh!" But what are you doing with it? And they don't have the motivation or the push to really do that. But on the other hand, when you live and breathe it like me, nothing stops you. And that's
And
what
that's the
makes
thing of it too, because we're not in competition really with anybody but ourselves.
Mhm.
If we can get past ourselves, we be all right. Uh,
That's right.
because I
It's,
believe there's room enough for everyone because we're
there
all
is.
unique. You
There.
just do you. You find out who you are, where your where your thing is, where you can ride that wave if you have that joy, then you're
Mhm.
gonna find your unique place in the marketplace in the world if you just be you. And that's the thing I think I see a lot of like singers now. Seeing like all of them try to some of a lot too many try to be cookie cutters. They find like a few people who are really unique, and then you find so many people trying to copy those people. And it's like, I just rather listen to anybody's song. Why I'm gonna buy your song when I can just listen to this person's song who maybe is a better dancer than you. I can have a song and dance moves. You know what I'm saying? So when you try to be something that you're not, um, you kind of can fall into a hole of being less than you are, because you compare to someone else. Um, so I want you to talk a little bit about your work. How do you use your creativity? Tell me what your work is, where you make your bacon right now,
Mhm.
and how do you use your creativity? How's your creativity? How does it inform how you work, and how does your work inform how you use your creativity? How are they, interconnected in some way?
My writing, as a matter of fact, helps me in all areas of my life because I feel like it pushes me to follow up with my actions, what the words that I say, and I can't make my words effective if my actions don't correlate with it. So a lot of times at work, I try to think twice about things I do. Um, as a writer, if I'm trying to be positive, I try to be more positive at work. My years of
So tell us,
experience.
for those who don't know, what is your work? Because no one knows. Tell them
Oh,
just.
I'm a mental health nurse, a psychiatric nurse, and I've been doing that for 24 years. Before then, I was a nurse in nursing home and a hospital for about 4 more years. But yeah, I love what I do because growing up, I always really wanted to secretly be a psychologist. I wasn't familiar with psychiatrists at the time, but I knew I wanted to counsel people. And I get to do that through my writing. So it's like I can combine my counseling of patients at work along with my counseling with words outside of work. So it's a great combination. So,
And we do have a few people in the audience, and if they want to unmic and ask a few questions, you may do that. Let me know if you want to speak, anyone, and ask her a question. I guess they're shy.
that's okay. I can always fill a spot, fill a space. I think they know me.
Okay, so how about sharing some words, some of your poetry or something that you might want to share with us?
Sure. Let's see. My first book is My Words and Me. It wasn't very fancy. Let me tell you how I came up with the name My Words and Me because I was very shy. And I tell people you might not think that now knowing me, but I grew up really timid and shy in school. And I found out later it was because of the words that you told yourself. I mean, people can tell you things. They can call you names and they say, okay, what do you answer to? What do you make your words? They become my words and me. And when you're sitting in a lonely room, your words have a great influence on you. When you're in a crowded room, your words have a lot of influence. Only the words that you make your own have the power. Because I can call you a certain name, and unless you accept it, it won't affect you. But once you accept it as your words, and then I can call you pretty or something, and you don't believe it because you're going to deny it because you're not going to make those your words. So I tell people, words will only become dangerous once you make them your words, your beliefs. So my words and me, I felt like it was like a boring name for me to use as my website, but for some reason I never wanted to change it because the power of the meaning behind it was so great in my life. So that's why even now when I tell people about my writing, I say my words are words of power because you want to keep your words powerful and positive because once they become yours, it's a wrap. Um, so um, my first book is My Words and Me. It says, I am a writer. A writer am I. Why I am, why I started, I do not know why. It's in my blood. It will always be untouchable, inseparable. My words and me. And my words are my feelings, my emotions, my life, my celebrations during joy, my tears during strife, my laughter and love during breakup, my pain. They help me survive failures and they magnify my gain. I use them to say I'm right, to express when I'm wrong. My words help others, for they strengthen like a song. My words bring me security in a world that's unsure. Despite all imperfections, my words remain pure. I use them to touch God and bring his presence near. My words push me forward, past doubt and fear. Whether by song or book, my words will always be untouchable, inseparable, and unchangeable part of me. So um, that's what all my basis of my writing is. All my books that I write are poetry. I've got one that's in it to win it, and I've got a
Oh,
song.
yes, I love that video. I played that on my group, and everyone responded to it very, very well. It was really
Well,
awesome.
and to see the ironic part is this book is different than the but I use the same cover because the book has got poems about in it to win it. And I've got one about being a hero without a name, which talks about us that work every day. You don't become very famous. You got everyday people that do everyday things and they're heroes, but people don't know their name, but they know that they're great. And I've got one about trying to give out a certain impression of yourself, even though you feel a different way. It's called it's something about illusions, and um, let's see,
Oh, share one, share another word, and then maybe someone has a question after this one.
it's called images. I tell you, this is the one I think. On the outside, I look pulled together. On the inside, I'm falling apart. On the outside, it looks like I'm finished, but on the inside, I ask, where do I start? On the outside, I look as good as new, but on the inside, I'm rugged and worn. Outwardly, I appear mighty strong, but inside, I'm tossed and torn. Outwardly, I say I don't care, but it's eating me up inside. Outwardly, it's easy for me to cope, but inside, I wonder if I'll survive. Some days, I say, what's love got to do with it? But truth be told, it means everything to me. To others, I vow to pay any price for success, but to myself, I'm wishing it was free. How long must I hide who I am as if everything is okay? Long enough to avoid the rejection of you not liking me that way.
Wow, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. I'm sure a lot of people can really respond to that, and it hits a lot of places on in my heart anyway. So, have you done any like I can see you working really well with, especially with teens who may be struggling with different things, because they really respond to ways of expressing themselves, because they always look for ways to express themselves in how they dress, how they talk. They didn't want to be always see themselves as different than their parents in some way. They want to talk different, they want to walk different, they want to dress different. And I think that poetry is so personalized that gives them that opportunity. I think you will really work really well with, especially, I used to work with, I guess, middle grades students. And I used to do like little workshops with them. I think they would really, really could respond to you, because they are really hungry to see that that they can express themselves in a way that's going to be heralded and accepted, and not only, so they can get, everybody wants a pat on the back, so you've done a good job, and they do a good job. Most of the times, if you give them an opportunity to express themselves, and you express to them, give them some boundaries about which to do it, they usually do a good job. That's what I find. So I hope you find some opportunities to do that. I really do, because
I do.
awesome.
I try to make rhymes. Rhymes help me in school to memorize stuff, and I know that for a lot of young people, that's how they remember stuff. So that's why I like working with rhyming. And
So I'm gonna ask you again, because I see Tammy is unmuted. Tammy, do you have a question for Denise?
No, I don't have a question. I've just got some beautiful comments.
Okay.
I'm Denise's co-worker. I love her hero's poem. I love her work. She's a phenomenal nurse and co-worker, and she's done a great job with this meeting.
Yes, she
thank you.
is awesome. I mean, so we have struggled. We have had to struggle so much. None of our technology was
No.
correctly, but she hung right in there. So that's
she's that's our Denise.
Yes.
And I was trying to comment earlier, but I couldn't get my microphone to work, so I was having technical difficulties too.
Oh, okay. Go ahead and finish.
You for the day. Everybody must be on Zoom today.
Yeah, there we go. No, we love her.
So
I love her.
Coming on and sharing that with us, Tammy. I appreciate that, because
and just like I love them. They're very supportive. My coworkers are phenomenal. They have to put up with me. Listen, can y'all listen to this? This is new. I catch them.
Okay.
Because you want
Do you have
feedback.
something new you're working on? You want to try it on us? We're all ears.
I won't do it because it's not uploaded, but I'll tell you about the two that I've gotten. One, I think I do very powerful spiritual things. This is another thing that I worry about, is I try to like do different things, but I don't want to confuse people. Because when it comes to spiritual songs, I can get Mahalia Jackson on you. I can feel the spirit. But then I can transform, and I can do something lyrical that people say, they'll start staring at me strange, because they said, okay, that's not you. And that's what I grew up with, why I kind of backed off with a lot of my lyrical stuff. But lately, I felt like God has given me this gift. So I'll jump from one to the other. Because right now I'm working on two very spiritual songs that are very personal to my heart. The reason I don't feel like it conflicts with my lyrical stuff, conflicts with my relationship with God, is that my heart is in the right place, and it's how you live. I think that a lot of bad lyrics have given raps a bad name, but rapping is a skill. It is not necessarily nasty or violent. It's what we make it.
It's what you
So
say and what you
it's
do
what
with it.
it's what you do. So right now I've got one called Stand Up. It was inspired by um, Stand Up, You Soldiers of the Cross. God can't use you sitting down. And this particular song, it doesn't sound like it, but it come from that being um, inspired by that, and the last days and seeing all the stuff happening even now, you got to have always got to have someone to stand up. People are always too timid to stand up. And hopefully this will encourage people to stand up. And then another one was inspired by the song Take Me to the King. Because when I used to hear that song, it used to intimidate and scare me. Because what if I'm not ready to face the king and you have to take me to him? And then one day I was like, you got to stop this fear and trust in your relationship with God. And so I started to feel comfortable about being in his presence. And so I wrote a song called In the Presence of a King. So I see it totally different. Um, those two songs are coming out. And after then, I've got my web page. It's called Next Level. And someone asked me, I'm looking up your Facebook page, Denise. Are you the one that's next level? And I said, yeah, because if you're looking for me in the same place I was last year, you're not going to find me because I'm always looking for ways to reach the next level. So I actually got a song coming out that I want to try called Next Level. And I produced it in my mind one day when I was really hating to get up and go to work. I know you can't relate to that, Miss Tammy, Miss Martha, because you got to go to work. Some days you just don't want to. So I had to get up and I said, okay, Lord, please give me some reason to get up. Every day is a struggle, whether or not, you got to work or not. And I said, I know in order to reach the next level, I got to get up and move. So some
Wow.
words started coming to me that motivated me to get. So then I said, hey, let me make this a song and hopefully it can be used to do that, encourage some more. And I'm really excited about that coming out. And I'm going to be walking up the steps because I'm going to the next level and just telling people what they need to do. And one of the words in the song is you're tired of being mediocre. When others give up, you're the one that never stop. And that just defines what I believe in. Sometimes being on top is nothing but not quitting because so many people give
Exactly.
up on their
Mhm.
dreams and they just quit and they say there's too much competition and yeah, and they've heard it from me. But you got to get past
You got
that
to
and
keep
keep,
moving. Just keep moving. You have to keep moving. That's really the thing.
because you're touching one or two lives. And another thing that encourages me, and I know I'm talking really fast, is that when people come to me with their stories, especially when they quote something from my book, to buy it is one thing, but to be able to come back and show me or that you've actually read it or something something to you. I've had people that have quoted something out of a book, a poem that I won't even really stress. And they said this particular poem, and they've quoted a couple of lines from. I was like, oh wow. And then I had someone buy this Seizing Opportunities, and they said, I like that story in there you told. And they told me the story that was in the book. And I said, this is why I write. If I can touch people and make a difference in their lives, they actually read it. And recently I had a young lady that took it before her church. And for Black History Month, she used me as her hero. And I said, well, she told me about it. She said, can I do it? And I said, of course, I want to be there. And she read a part of my book to the church and they invited me to come back and speak. A couple of days later, that Sunday, they said, "Can you come and motivate the kids?" And so, reaching it slowly, reaching people. If it reaches one or two, those two can reach four, who can reach eight. So I believe in the domino effect. So that's
That's how
why I
it
keep
goes.
going. hmm
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
like
That's
right
exactly.
now, I think this could
Did
go
you?
viral.
Yeah.
Somebody are gonna see
You
this.
never know. And we're going to do another one too when we know, like I said, we're going to have one that we're going to schedule. We're going to do it. And then when it's finished, then we're going to release it. So tell me about what is your process, especially like, when that in it to win it, that one's really was popping. That's one this last one that keeps ringing in my mind because it says a lot to me because I'm in it to win it. I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna keep moving. I'm gonna keep moving till I get to it, wherever it is. So
Mhm.
tell me, how do you pick, like, do the music come after you do the words? Do you already have in your mind what music you're going to use? And how does that work for you? How do your process of putting together, like, just talk about that particular video. How was your process in putting that together?
The song was out a lot before the video, but songs come to me with music first. I always work backwards. Like somebody say, give me some words and say make some music. That's not what I do. Give me some music and I'll put some lyrics to it nonstop. Um,
So where do you get the music from?
Sometimes they come to me in dreams. That's why I know I'm doing what I'm supposed to do.
Okay.
Like one morning I woke up and I ran to my mom and I said, that song, while I was asleep, that song was a beautiful song. What song is that on the radio? And she looked at me like, there's no song on the radio. And I ran and grabbed a tape player and started recording what I had dreamed. And my songs are so much more pretty, beautiful in my dreams. It's difficult recreating them when I wake up. And one night, I actually dreamed a song about how God is more than enough, and and I dreamed the chorus, but I couldn't remember what the verse was. So I woke up, and while I was fixing myself breakfast, I said, "This is a beautiful song. Let me write the lyrics to it." And while I was writing the lyrics, my mom came and bought the mail in, and when she handed me a book, it was a book from a spiritual church, like Oral Roberts or something, and the cover on it said how God can be more than enough in your life, and that was the exact name of the song, how God is more
Oh,
than
such
enough.
a confirmation. Oh, wow.
I sat there at the computer and I was sitting there like in shock, and I was like, how did I just dream something? And I get a book cover from a famous person with this title, and
Could
so
you
I picked
could
the
you
song.
repeat that though before you go? I want to make sure you repeat that, and maybe you can put it in the chat and I can share it out. Is your song about the song that you said you wrote? Like, can you see what group was it that sang it for you? You said it was a
When I
group.
woke up this
When
morning,
I woke up this morning, what was that? Who was the group that sang it?
New Christian Chapel.
The Christian Chapel. Okay, so can we find that
So
online?
it will be under Denise Sutton.
Okay,
And when I woke up this morning, because of the technicalities of how you have to put it on the internet, I had to put them under my name because it was my CD. They were the
right.
groups for me. It was a collaboration, and I gave each group or person that sung that. But I'm telling you, to find me, I didn't talk about my pen name. If you want to find me on YouTube, just go to Lyrical Rainmaker and Denise Sutton, and you'll
Okay.
find most of the music. And someone said, "Well, I just went down Lyrical Rainmaker and I heard most of your songs, and they're so different. You know, you have some that are just purely inspirational, some that's rap like lyrical, and some that are real spiritual and slow.
Okay.
And
Awesome.
that is a challenge I have. I don't want to do so many different things that it confuses people, but I want them to see that.
Confusing. I don't think it's confusing because they're not really, even this lyrical is not saying anything that's you know extremely different than what you're saying in the spiritual songs. It's just you're in a different mood. We all have different moods that we're in. I think sometimes people, when people not pretend, when they're so focused on being projecting one way, that it's really not. I don't think it's all 100%. I think we're all a myriad of ways.
Mhm.
There are times when, we might want to get into meditative state. There's a time when we want to move to music. There are times, I mean, all of that is still the same person. We're not Jekyll and Hyde, it's all different aspects of who we are. I don't think it's like a cutoff, like, okay, now you're if you don't say Jesus, you're sinning now because you're not saying Jesus. You know, I mean, it's like, but I've already accepted him. So do I have to say his name every time I speak? So it's like really odd that people think that you're like, you kind of Jekyll and Hyde just because I don't think it's that way. I don't like in it to win it. How's that anti any faith? You know what I'm saying? So how's that anti-faith? It's not. I don't think it's confused. I wasn't confused. I don't think. I think you need to. I think that's something that maybe you need to think about. It's something that's troubling you, but I don't think it's troubling your listeners as much as it's troubling you.
I hope not. Yeah.
That's something you
I've
have to
had
clear
people
up
tell
in
me
your own.
that don't confuse. Use this song for this group of people, and this song for this group of people. So yeah, I know which songs I might cannot take up into the sanctuary, but
Right. Right.
they overall they're positive. My
But you know what? People that's in the sanctuary still like the other songs. There's a time and place for everything. You know what I'm
hmm
saying?
hmm
It's like what I tell my students in writing. I say that when you write, it is more than you might have the same audience, but it's for a different purpose. The same people might read this and get something from it, but it's
hmm
serving a different purpose. You
hmm
know, and
hmm
so this is why I say it's serving it's in a different realm. And then really, to me, your work serves a similar purpose. It's just that you're choosing different rhetorical strategies based on the specific audience at that time, the mindset of your audience at that particular time. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So
I love you.
I think you're doing a good job. I think you're doing an excellent
you.
job.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I enjoy it. I enjoy talking about myself. My coworkers can tell you that.
Unlike me, I really don't like talking about myself, which is why I like to interview other people. But I'm getting more comfortable with it. I realized when I started on this journey, that's how it started. I was basically interviewed, and I had to kind of, in order to do the job that I want to do, in order to be able to help the people that I want to help, I had to show who I was, because if people don't know who you are, they're not going to trust what you say. You can say, oh, you can get over that, but did you get over it? How did you deal with it? You know what I'm saying? You have to reveal something about yourself. You have to be authentic. You don't have to tell everybody everything that ever happened to you. No. But I share a lot more than I thought it would, because I understand I've lived long enough to know there's nothing that I've gone through that someone else has not gone through. Literally, it's nothing. The names may have changed, the places may have changed, but it's literally nothing that I have gone through that somebody in the world has not gone through. And so much times we are filled with shame, we're filled with self-doubt, maybe things have wounded our self-esteem, and that we feel that, can anyone know this? It's a secret. But literally, it's not a secret. People who really know people, if they look at how you walk in your life, they know. They know by the choices that you make. They know. You don't have to tell them. And so for those who don't have that discernment, I try to make myself plain enough so that hopefully something I say, they can grab onto it and apply it to their own lives for their betterment. Because not only does it set them free, but it sets me free too. And so I'm about living an authentic life. That'll mean I'm going to tell you, everything about me. But there's very few things that I'm not ashamed of anything aspect of my life. Even though I might not share it all, because everybody's not ready for everything. But it's not due to shame, because I always say no one could ever try to blackmail me, because I would say, yeah, I did that. I've drawn a line in the sand, and I don't do that anymore. You're still dibbling and dabbling things you don't have no business dibbling and dabbling. You might be sensitive about it. But even things, even mistakes I made yesterday, I said, oh, yeah, I did that. That was not a good thing to do. There's no shame in my game anymore. So, you have to come to the fact that you know yourself well, and you really are trying to live a good life. Whatever that good life looks like to you, whether it's religious or not, you need to be comfortable with decisions. As a grown person, I'm all about this thing about growing up on purpose. If you are a grown person really trying to be mature, there should be very little shame in your game. And so I'll say that to you. You have no shame. There should be no shame in your game, whether you're doing lyrical or spiritual. There should be no shame in it, because it's all beautiful, it's all wonderful, and all uplifts people. How can no one be uplifted by I'm in it to win it? You know what I'm saying? You're spreading joy. You're spreading goodness and kindness and just making people feel good in their own skin. And that's all. That's got to be good.
The one thing I want them to get from in it to win it is you got one life to live and one chance to tell your story. So be in it to win it.
Be
That's
in it to win it. That's why I love it. That's why I love it. I said, oh, and everybody was telling me, oh, I love that. I got this, I want to check her out. So believe me, you have done something. So that you might use that. That's one song might draw people into some of your other works. You know what I'm saying? So every time you throw something out there, it'll draw people in.
Yeah, lead them to Lyrical Rainmaker. And I came up with that name because I had a coworker who used to call me Rainmaker. And so as I got older, I said, let me accept it, because I used to reject it. Because I was like, it's not making money. I'm not doing anything. And he said, but you don't know it yet, but you are. So what I did was add lyrical in front of it, because I use my words to make things happen.
I think
so
that's a beautiful. I think that's a beautiful.
And that's my title.
Writer, so it's very creative. So if you had to have one thing you want to leave our audience with, our watching or listening audience with, what is it you want to leave with them as far as uh, something for them, something about you want them to take away, and something that you want to leave them with is to encourage them in their walk and whatever that is, and their creativity.
Wow. I think it mostly almost anything I've said. I dreamed one time I was told I was a writer by an angel, but it was in the form of a professor. And I walked up to her and I said, I know who you are. You, because I was getting ready to tell her she was famous and she's getting ready to be the speaker. And she looked at me and she said, "You're a writer." So it surprised me. And I woke up. I realized God is saying, do what you're sent down here to do. And I've met some people say, I'm not really sure what I was sent out here to do. But if you got a passion or something that you love to do, uh, that fulfills you, that's what you need to do because you've got this one life to use the gift that God has given you. And it could be anything, like you said, cooking, sewing, making crafts that cheers somebody up. And everybody's got some sort of skill and something they like to do. And it doesn't have to make a lot of noise for you, but it just be something that fulfills you. And I think people need to sit back and be more content with life and not see success as from the worldly standard, but what makes you happy with yourself. Because you see so many wealthy and rich people are famous that are unhappy. So you know that's not the answer. So you got to look within and find it. So that's what I hope to encourage other people. I call myself an inspirational writer first. I happen to do it through song and poetry. But if I talk to someone, I'm always putting up quotes on Facebook. I've been called the Facebook queen. Wake up in the middle of the night and I will write something. But I want to encourage someone, and it helps me. But you never know what soul you might be touching. So we're all dominoes touching someone else's life. No man is an island. So strengthen yourself and strive to strengthen others.
That's beautiful because I always say, self-care is more than nails and toenails, fingernails and toenails, it's what how you take care of your inner man, your inner self, your inner human being. And so I
Mhm.
really thank you for coming on the show, for sharing with our unartist how what it is your process is, and because I'm sure someone is touched and someone is encouraged today by what you've said. And definitely we're going to come back. We're going to do some things together, have some wonderful ideas of ways I want to collaborate with you. And so I'm looking forward to just really just knowing you. And I want to thank Martha Brown here for introducing us. And Martha and I here, we have some things we got to do too. I have a whole board there with just Martha's name on it, some things we're supposed to be taking care of. I told her that earlier. And of course she laughed and everything. But I just enjoy being in this group. This is not what I thought I was going to do. But starting this group, as part of the I Am We cohort that was officially kind of set aside by Eve Angel, kind of like called us in to do this thing. And I was kind of resistant at times, especially about going live, because I'm an introvert. I call myself an outward facing, introvert, because I really am, I'm just quiet. I really it's just the way I am. I don't mind speaking if I have something to say, but I'm not really a look at me person. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But I realize it's the only way I can help people is, I have to make myself known. And so that's what I'm in the process of doing. Like I said, a lot of things that's happened to me, I've been blessed with opportunities, the things that I would not have had the opportunity to do unless I stepped out. And so that's why I will continue to step out, because you know why? Why? Because I'm in it
You're in it to win it.
to win it.
Mhm. Mhm.
So that's going to be my motto for the rest of the year. I'm in it to win it, y'all. Okay.
That's what we're
So
down
thank you
here
so much.
for.
Exactly. So thank you so much, Denise. And I hope to see you soon. And Tammy and Martha, thank you for dropping in. And I hope to meet Tammy one day soon. I've met Martha. I hope to meet Tammy one day soon. So you guys take care and see you next time.
Okay. Bye bye.